We're on day 6 of our Advent extravaganza. Today's a very blustery day outside. It hasn't even gotten daylight today. I don't know where you guys live. Do you have this kind of let's see if I can turn you around and show you the weather. We'll be interrupted by the light. Let's see. That is the view out my window today. Let's see if we can get that out of the way. I have a ring light on this, and so it's problematic. There is the view and my mess. I think I have a piece of embroidery over there. There. But that's it. It's never gotten very, in fact, I think you're getting a better brightness than I am. Today, for our Advent Day 6, it's another ornament, and it's this little snowflake guy. Today I'm just going to show you one stitch because I am doing this all in one stitch and then embellishing with beads. The stitch for today is the chain stitch, and I'm doing it out of the gold thread. I'm also going to give you a couple of hints on working with said gold thread. The biggest of which is cut all those gold pieces in half. Don't do any more than, I would say, 15 inches of gold thread, because the process of pulling it in and out of the fabric wears it out. It's just not a very hardy thread. And so it shreds really easy and gets caught. And when it gets caught, I'll show you examples, because I accidentally used too long of a thread, and you get like little knobbles of knots where the metallic part comes away from the nylon thread. So without further ado, let's show you the chain stitch. All right, I have done most of this for you. Honestly, this is probably my favorite stitch to do. Mostly because it's fun, because you get like a little bit of a wrist flourish as you make this stitch. But also because it's so easy to use the chain stitch on knitwear, crochet wear to embellish it, that you're not really limited to the size of your thread or your project with this stitch. And it's bold, you know, look at that gold. It really stands out when you do the chain stitch. The method to a chain stitch is you're creating a series of loops that interlocked. So I have my loop of thread, and I've come out and I go back in the same hole. And then what I do is in that loop that's being formed, and I'm going to pull this very slowly so you can see where my needle is positioned. See how I've made a loop, and I have my thread inside the loop to stop it from getting too small. Then I'm going to put my needle back into the exit place where the thread came out, put it back down in there like that. And let's get rid of I've got a little too long of a tail here. I have a loop here, and I'm going to go ahead just a few, like a centimeter or so. I always stop at the joints. So wherever there's a turn in my work, that's where I'm going to stop, put my needle out as the last part of the last stitch on the row. And there, and see how this is very, it's the thread. It's not you, it's the thread. There we go. That is my last stitch. Now I can turn and I can carry on and it will work, but I find my work is neater if I go ahead and finish right here. So to finish chain stitch, all you do is a little straight stitch, kind of like a lazy daisy stitch, up and over that loop and down. Boy, this one didn't go in very well, did it? And you can always go back and tighten, especially if you haven't knotted off yet. There. There's that. Now I'm going to start again, and the way that I do that is go up right next to the chain stitch, pull it out, go down in the same hole, and take a nip about a centimeter away, millimeter away. Get that yarn around it so that it stays inside the loop, and tighten it up slowly. And can you see how I'm starting to get like roughness on the edges here? That means this thread is about to give up on me. It's a good thing I'm almost done. And that's with me cutting shorter lengths, so that it tells you how easily this disintegrates. Next stitch, make sure I'm inside the loop. Go slowly. And you can get pretty efficient and fast at this. And then I'm just going to do a third one up to the corner. Trying to minimize there. And then go ahead and put this out. Okay, again, I'm going to end my stitch at the end of that row and start fresh. The nature of the chain stitch is, if one of these comes loose, they're all coming off because they're all locked in together, basically like knitwear. And that's part of the reason why I like to end at the end of a turn. Not imperative, you don't have to, but I find it serves as a little bit of a safety measure if I do. All right, next chain stitch. And the one after that, back inside the loop. And out to the end of the row. All right, the other thing you'll notice, I'm going to end this at the end of this little one. This is a little short guy. Not all of these did I do this ending on, but I'm going to do it here because there's an additional embellishment to this Christmas ornament that I'm doing. And that is, at the ends of each of the 3 sets of snowflakes, I'm adding in a bead. And I went and dug through my bead stash and I found some multicolored beads. So I'm going to put a bead on my needle. I've pulled the needle, I moved over so that I had the needle coming out of the center of one of the ends. I put the bead on my needle and I'm just going to go back down right next to where the stitch came out. And I've got little bitty beads, just white beads at the ends. You could put metallic beads in here. You could put blue beads in. I originally thought that I'd put blue beads in, but then I decided that since I was using gold thread, there was no silver thread in this kit. If there had been silver thread, I probably would have done these snowflakes with silver. But I like the gold, and it's, you know, taking me outside my comfort zone. I don't usually use gold. Now, look, this is one of the problems you can have. I twisted my loop, and this is the reason to wait. Oop. And this is the other problem that can happen. If you pull too hard at the wrong time, you can end up with, all right, and this I know is a beginning, so I'm just gonna redo, go back, and redo my loop. I just pulled it tight because I knew I wouldn't ruin the previous row. All right, and let's come out. Now, let's make sure this loop isn't twisted. I'm going to pull up because this one tended to twist on me last time. See how it's twisting? So let's pull it down until we're almost done. Untwist it. It's wanting to twist. There. That is the straight loop. If you let your loops twist, you won't see the chain stitch. It'll just twist up. And I suppose that's a look that you could choose to have as long as you're consistent with it. But my consistency in this department is to have the open loop chains. There we go. We're on the tail end. Two more ends and then we're done. Oop, did I not get through that one? Oh, and then we've got a twisty one again. I tell you what, the gold thread is not, if you're a beginner, don't start with the gold thread. Let's get this straight. I haven't had this much trouble making the whole snowflake till I get you on camera. Isn't that the way it is? Let's make sure you're in the frame here. And then back out. I'm even coming out the middle, but I've secured that chain so that it's not going anywhere. And that's really the key to sort of doing that final at the end of a row. I don't know if you've ever, I have done entire motifs and not secured any of the ends, and guess what? One mistake, one knot that comes undone, and you've lost your entire design. So it pays to just do a truncating stopping spot. So again, I'm going to stop here. So I've got my loop. I'm going to go straight down and pull that. And then I'm going to come back up just inside. It could be inside that loop. It's totally fine. And back in the loop. And then halfway along. And then again, because this is twisting on me. and then back in. And at the end of the row. And straight down to stop that row from ever running out. And then back up. Just make sure you don't come up the same hole you went down. That will kind of undo what you've just finished. You know what? I'm going to take this opportunity actually to go put my bead in because I'm right there at the end. So I'm going to pop that down in there. Ooh. Pulled that a little too tight. And that's the other thing you don't want to do is pull your chains too tight or they'll get buried in your fabric and you won't see them. Another bead off my little table over here. Let's make sure this one fits, and it does. And back in. We have our bead. There. And then back up to the corner. And our next chain stitch. Not too tight, just a gentle tug. I think that one's a bit long, but it's all right. Go that way. There. Down. And then back up. Just right next door or through the loop. It's your choice. Turn my work. And I'm going this direction now. Into exactly the same hole I came out to create another loop and to go through that loop. But yeah, I kind of am knitting on this fabric because that's exactly what we're doing with this needle. And I've seen people do this with little mini crochet hooks. All right, I've just pulled through. I'm going to go ahead and put my bead on right now because I've got 2 last stitches. Uh-oh. My last bead is missing. I must have dropped it on the floor. All right, our last bead is on the needle. Put that down into place. Right there, and then go back out on the edge and do our last 2 stitches for this snowflake. Ooh. Come on, tighten up. I'm going to have to flip that over. I got a loose bead. So we're going to go over to the back. I'm going to find that loose bead position here and use it as an integral part of my knot to tighten it up. Again, remember the backs, doesn't matter. These are going to be turned into little pillows. So I'm going to actually move this. Knot this a little bit here. Twist it to tighten it up. And then anchor it over here. And that should, of course, tying a knot in the gold thread, that's the hard part here. Let's see, did that tighten it up? Yep, we're all nice and tight now. There we go. There we go, all done for this moment. And then today, I'm going to show you how to cut it out. All right, we've got that. I can put my needle down, and then let's cut this out. Now notice I've done another circle one, so you're going to get a second. Yesterday I showed you how to fold this hem down and attach this, and it's just going to be a rerun, only today I've already got started on another one for you for tomorrow. Here's your preview for your next ornament. I've started doing the owl. All right, we're going to cut this out. And I'm going to leave a decent border. I want to leave a decent border. 1/2 inch-ish. I won't be able to leave a 1/2 inch there. That's going to have to go in, so I may trim it. But I want to aim right down the center so that each of those sides has maximum distance. And then today, I'm going to show you how to do this on the method I call English paper piecing. Okay, here's another spot where we need to leave as much room as possible. This owl deserves its 1/4 inch as well. Okay, there's our front. Here comes our back. Is whip stitch. So I'm going to take a single thread on that side, and I'm pulling this with my thumb to grab on the fold of the one around the cardboard or the cardstock, and then go to the other side and grab a thread, and then come to this side and go around the corner of the cardstock. And I'm going to do that all the way around to get this perfectly round.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand of thine. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne.
Let's see if this was all worth it. I'm going to take the pins out and pull the basting stitch out, which is here. Not that I really need to, because I don't. But pull our basting stitch out, turn it right side out, and let's see if we have a better circle than yesterday. Is it a rounder circle? It's pretty darn round. So it's up to you. That's pretty darn, look how round that is. And I haven't even stuffed it yet. It's very round. So fiddly, don't know if it's worth it to you, but now I do have the shape for the other two if I decide to do this again. So next up, stuff, and I'm going to blanket stitch around the outside, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, the final little lesson today is, oh, speaking of which, I did put this together. I stitched it, I stuffed it, I closed the opening, and this is the other method. We can compare these here in a minute when I'm finished. The last little lesson I want to show you is how to do a blanket stitch. So the blanket stitch is basically a series of train tracks or vertical stitches just down from where you, bites, teeth, you're making teeth, but you always make sure and put the yarn behind your stitch so that your stitch catches it, and you see along the edge here. So I'm going to do another, space that out into the join, and then put the yarn around it. A lot like the chain stitch, they're not dissimilar. The difference is the chain stitch would meet, these would meet in the same spot, and instead I'm spacing them out. Just like that. Just like that. And then around. And if I do it correctly, if I keep my yarn on that side, I can just do a series of these and not have to wrap it around every time. There. So again, you know how we talked about, I think, a couple days ago on efficiency of movements. That is what embroidery is all about. Oops, I missed that one. And you can save yourself, though, just by throwing the needle through it. There. Space it. If you have trouble making your spaces even, you can mark them with a little pencil. I've seen people, well, this is old, because I'm old. But remember the old printer paper that had dots on the edges? I've seen people use that as spacing markers. These days there's tape out that quilters use. You could tape your work and even out your blanket stitch. I've seen people mark with a pen on their finger so that they use it for spacing. Any number of things. I kind of eyeball it. I want this to look homemade, not commercially made, so having my blanket stitch be a little uneven, and I don't think it's very uneven anyway, it's pretty even if you ask me. Okay, just around the edge. Oh, I guess I have narrowed it up since it is a good idea to check your edges when you're working, because you tend to change over time. So I'm a little wider here and I've gotten a little narrower here. To be fair, I started this in the car because we dashed out for me to make a delivery. So I've picked this up and put this down a few times. There. There. We're almost done. And we will, again, just like yesterday, I'll go add a button to our advent tree and put a loop at the top of this, and we'll hang it. Actually, this would be mighty convenient. Maybe I'll just use this as my loop. I'll use what remains of this What's up? Tie a little knot. There, and then hide the end. Down in the crack. There. I'll clip this off and we have our next ornament. We have our next ornament. All right, we have day 2 to hang on our Advent calendar tree. Now let's see, let's carefully compare the two. Which one looks rounder? I do think this one looks a little rounder. So it's up to you, whether you want the rustic or more rustic look or more straight look. But there we are, day 2. We have 12 of these to go. I think the next one I make is going over here. And then we'll work out from there. Here's my topper. It's staying up now that I've nailed it in. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I hope you come back and see us tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. If you've not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, definitely do that so you can stay on top of everything new that comes out. Kelly does book shorts and twice a week videos. I am doing daily videos up until Christmas. Tomorrow the plan is to do some shortbread, but wheat-free, so hopefully that will be enjoyable. And yeah, follow us, ring the bell, subscribe, and stick with us. We're going to have lots of good things coming. Kelly and I are kind of really enjoying this YouTube thing. And then I'm giving you a little survey of the tree up close. See you tomorrow. Bye.